I could start off a Men's Day program a number of ways, but how about them Tigers last night in Atlanta? Now, everybody else, the Braves and the Devils, you're going to have your turn when the game time comes. So, Dr. Boyd, let me say how happy I am to be back at Pearl Street. Let me say how happy I am to come to a church that understands Proverbs that without a vision, people perish. Let me say how happy I am to understand that you have to invest in a community rather than run from a community. And so, under your leadership, you've done just that. And as you know, the good thing about moving forward, once people figure out that you're moving, everybody wants to get on the train. But while you're trying to plan it, boy, is it not a lonely occupation. But I participated in the groundbreaking ceremony, and every time I passed by what used to be the old Holiday Inn on Highway 80, now look who's gonna own it. Isn't that something? So I compliment you on that. But ladies, I compliment you also for letting the men of Pearl Street think it's their idea. So I don't want to confuse us today. But if the truth's known, we know who's in charge, all right? And so while we celebrate Men's Day, and we should, our theme and topic for today is Men of God, Steadfast, and Unmoved. So what you've done as a church, as I said, you didn't move. You're hanging in there, and you said, we're going to make it better. And that investment is important. So as I look at Psalm 62, verse 2, it said, truly, he is my rock and my salvation. He's my fortress. I will never be shaken. And so that's what you are here as this church. You've not been shaken, and I'm so happy to be back. Actually, the young man who introduced me said I've been married 54 years. Well, actually, on this past Sunday, I celebrated 55. So I met her at Tougaloo College, the apple of my eye. I did everything. But as she tells me on a regular, I'm still in training. So don't get any ideas about who in charge and who wear the pants and all that. So for those men here, if you want to know how I got this far, there are two words you can't ever forget. If you remember them, you'll do just fine. Yes, dear. So what could I tell a church that has a visionary like Dr. Boyd? What could I tell a church that has a lot of other people? Charles Jones and I went to Tougaloo together. We did all over the Delta. We did everything together. The first campaign we worked in was Fannie Lou Hamer's campaign for Congress, of which I now represent that district. So it's been a lot of things. Brother Caston over there, I used to be in the band at Utica Junior College. Lewis Lee trained both of us. Mr. Lee was my actually surrogate father because my daddy died when I was in the 10th grade, and Mr. Lee raised a whole bunch of boys in that band. And I'm happy to say that every time I see him, we always talk about Mr. Lee and what he did for us. So Good seeing you, Brother Castor, always. So, now, for a young boy from Bolton who had the privilege of representing that community, I now represent 770,000 people. And you know, it's a wonderful opportunity, but it's a challenge because, first of all, representing people who've been marginalized all their life is something you can't ever forget. People say, oh, you're so fortunate. No, I'm only blessed because people put their confidence in me. And the one thing I want to do is to never let them down. Now, by not letting them down, that means I don't get invited to a lot of fancy dinners, you know. I don't get invited to the chamber. I don't get invited to the other things. But you know, I get invited to Pearl Street. And that's my validation every day. And so I'm not anyways shortchanged by not participating in those other events because I know what side my bread brown on. I know when the tough gets going, I know it's the members of Pearl Street and other churches who keep me focused, who understand what's going on. But so now, the future for us. We have some challenges as people of color. First of all, when I started out, I was the first black person elected in Hinds County. And now we got a whole bunch of black folk elected. Now, but what we got to do now is figure out what we're going to do now that we elected. I served on the Board of Supervisors. I had to sue them to get them to change. Now all 5 of them look like us here in Pearl Street. But every time you turn on the TV, they acting a monkey. And so what we have to do is figure out how do we change the trajectory of what's going on. And so now that we've put you there, what are you going to do about it? You know, so we've now decided to turn on each other rather than to each other. And so that's why Pearl Street is so important, because you've demonstrated that black people working together can achieve things. So I want you to help us provide that leadership for our elected officials. Our city, we need help. You know, but we need to figure out what that help looks like. And help is not fussing with each other. The help is sitting in the room like you did here at Pearl Street and figure out a solution. And so when I ride the streets, you know, I shouldn't have to figure out how to get to Pearl Street based on the condition of the street. You know what I'm saying? I ought to just go to Pearl Street. And so I shouldn't have to figure out how to get to Pearl Street based on who's hanging out on the corner. I ought to just go to Pearl Street. So somebody needs to talk to our leaders and say, look, now that you're there, what are you going to do about it? Don't start blaming whomever. No, you there. We want a plan. And so every time those individuals come and offer themselves, I want them to follow the Pearl Street model. You know, show me what you're offering to make a difference. And if you can make that difference and show me, I'll support you. But if you don't, we'll find someone who can. And so I'm challenged, I'm disturbed, because I always hear people blaming other folk for their problem. And look, sure they did it, but now we in charge. You know, I helped get $600 million to try to fix the water system here. Now people want to say, well, the folk who are trying to fix it, something wrong with it. Whoa. We got you the money. Come on, and we got you the money because you couldn't run it. Well, now we got to fix it, then you can come back. But we're going to fix it first, you know? When I talk to folk like you in this community, you hadn't drank the water in years because you didn't believe and had the confidence that the water was good. And so if I can't drink the water that I'm paying the bill for, then something's wrong with it. And I'm not going to let you believe me that somebody else who didn't run the water system is the problem, you know? So that's what that segregated HBCU education taught me, that I could look at the facts and make up my own mind. So there are some things that we need to work through as men, and that's why the men in this church and other communities, we have to step up. We don't have to lead by example. Now, sure, city ought to be helping us cut some of these lots, because it looks horrible. But now, if we become committees of one and say we're going to take this block, that block, we're going to start cutting our own grass. And if we got to embarrass folk to do their job, that's what we're going to do. Because you can't, your house and property values won't increase when 2 blocks down the street is abandoned buildings. We got to do something. Now, there was a time when a building becomes abandoned in this community, you require the property owner to board it up. Now they just walk away, and it brings the community down. So I'm sure by the time I finish, somebody's going to say, oh, we're going to tell so-and-so on you. I don't care. Because if I'm not telling the truth, then prove it. That's all you got to do. And so for men, we have to provide the leadership. When Nancy Pelosi asked me to chair the January 6th committee, where we saw people who became weaponized against their own government, you know, I said, well, why me? She said, look, you've been through everything. You've dealt with the Klan, you done dealt with all kind of folk. Said, Donald Trump is small potatoes compared to some of these other folk. And so, you know, that was part of what it was. But for a black boy, only went to school in Mississippi, never had a new textbook his whole public school career, to now lead the #1 committee that ultimately will save this government of ours is a powerful thing. But I never run away from being a Jackson State graduate. I never run away from having gone to Tougaloo. And I never forget to remind my white colleagues that my first school was named Bolton Colored School. You understand? It wasn't Bolton School. So I haven't, you know, I didn't have all that other stuff. So I can't forget it. So my goal is to never let us go back. And in order for us never to go back, that means we have to provide enhanced funding for our black colleges and universities, because we still playing catch up. You know, people try to say, well, you know, that's in the past, we can just go together. You know, that's like being in the Indianapolis 500. You know, you got a Porsche and I got a Model T. Now who's gonna win the race? You know? So the notion is we have to have the enhanced funding. And so that's why our girls and our boys, in order to be the best that they can be, we have to continue to advocate for that. And I encourage you to do that. Apart from that, we also have to be proud of our institutions. When I'm going back sometime on the plane to Washington, you know, sitting next to you know who, and they say, who won the game? I said, Jackson State. Then they look at me and say, what about the other game? I said, I don't know what Alcorn did. See, they trying to run me to, you know, them other schools. I ain't gonna let them do that, you know. And so I have to, you know, hold up the standard. And then they say, well, yeah. I said, you need to come and watch our kids play. They do well. You know, they don't have knives and razors out there playing football. They got a ball. You know, come to the game sometime. You all left the stadium, Y'all built your one up there in your school, and now you said, well, you got that one, but it was worn out when we got it. Why can't we have our own, you know? And so we're going to work on that. And so, but then we get around to the discussion, men, of how do we make a difference? So, well, we make a difference by investing in it. We invest in education, but we also have to do away with some of the vestiges that got us where we are. Now, we got a person running for governor that says Biden, Bennie, and Brandon. You know, and I'm trying to figure out, now, you know, I've been here all my life, and all I want to do is make things better for this community. I want our kids to have the best education. I want to have the best health care. I want seniors to be able to sit on their front porch and drink coffee or do whatever they want to do without fear of somebody taking over the neighborhood. And all of a sudden, I'm a bad guy, you know? But you never said anything when Brett Favre got $5 million of welfare money to build a volleyball auditorium. I had never heard of a volleyball auditorium till they built it with welfare money. And now all of a sudden, they want to tell us that oh, well, you know, I know how it looked, but it's not what you think. If it walks like a duck, if it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So don't let people fool you about what's going on. And then they want to say, oh, I hear he is trying to go for sex change stuff. Nobody in the world even follow that. You know, that's that red meat they throw to the crazies out here. Say, oh, you know, I've been around 75 years. Everything they talking about, I don't know anything about. You know, I mean, I'm trying to say, why am I going to go out here and follow somebody who won't come to Pearl Street on Sunday morning, or who won't invite you to their church on Sunday morning? They want to come to our church, sit here and say something, but they never invite us to their church. You know what I'm saying? So when they try to come to Asbury, we tell them, say, that's good, but you're going to sit through the service. You know, you're not going to dart in and dart out. No. And we're not going to let you get up and monopolize the time. So I'm told that a hint to the wise is sufficient. You can fix these problems in November when the time comes. But now, we're going to need your help. We got to have your help. The largest voting precinct in Hinds County is on the campus of Jackson State University. First primary, they voted 7 people. You understand? So we got some work to do. That means the kids coming back to campus, you Kappas, you Alphas, you Sigmas, you Omegas, you whatever you are. Get your fraternities and sororities engaged and make sure we get all our young folk registered to vote on that campus. So when election time comes, they can go help us determine the destiny of who will lead this state for the next 4 years. And so that's important, because if we get the right individual, then maybe some of our children, when they get their education, they won't leave. Because right now, we are exporting our most important product in this state, and that's our educated citizens. Look, I would love for my granddaughter to come back here when she finishes, but every time I talk to her, she said, ain't nothing to do, you know? And I'm saying, but look, you can come back and say, Gran and Pawpaw gonna be in a point where we gonna need a doctor or somebody to take care of us, and you can come and we'll be your patients. She looks at me, she said, Pawpaw, I'm gonna be a OBGYN. So she said, but I'll find you somebody, you know. So this whole notion is I got to try. Look, I was using everything in the book, you know. I took care of you, you know. You still on my insurance, you know, everything. But I'm having a tough time getting them back. If we had the right leadership, they would have a choice, either to stay or go. Right now, they don't have a choice. And so, men, we need to help create that choice for the next generation. But in order to do that, we got to make some folk upset. Because there are some folk now trying to convince us that, oh, it's fine. We can just leave and go forward. Yeah. There's a group trying to deal with flooding on the Pearl River. They got some people convinced that putting $400 million in the Pearl River is going to stop flooding. But when you look at the economic analysis, it means that the people on the east side of the Pearl River get economic development. Right. That means they get the hotels, they get the beaches, they get the restaurants, they get all that at public expense. And they're trying to fool us like, oh, well, you're going to get flood control. Wait now. You're going to come and tell me what I need, but you don't come and ask me what I need. And you don't ask me to evaluate the proposal. So they said, well, there you go. He don't like white folk. No, look, I'm proud of that HBCU education. That segregated education I got from my teachers said, if I can get it in your head, they can't take it from you. So in my head means I can ask questions. And if I can ask questions, I need to get answers that make sense. And so if you sent your kid to Jackson Prep, you can't convince me you don't see color. Because Jackson Prep at the time you sent them didn't allow black kids to go there unless they were athletes. You understand? And so we got to figure this thing out. Or people show up you never met before and say, you know, Congressman, we so glad you there. Said, I told my wife on election night, he's a fine man. But don't tell nobody I told you. You understand what I'm saying? So, but he's still trying to get in, you know, by hook or crook. Well, it's a little different nowadays. So I'm excited about the future. But the future for men in this city is about telling the truth. Everybody shows up at the groundbreaking. In between the groundbreaking and the ribbon cutting, you can't find it. So y'all think Dr. Boyd done hit me what to say. But I know y'all. I know us. But now we can fix this. All we gotta do is just work together. Because I want to get to the ribbon cutting. Because you are investing in this community. You're providing senior housing for people who otherwise wouldn't be able to have it in this community. You're providing health care for people who otherwise wouldn't have it. So I compliment you. You're doing the Lord's work, you know? It's not just being here on Sunday. You're doing something actually when service is over. So I want to thank Dr. Boyd for his leadership. And I can tell you, leading black people is something, okay? Every now and then I get a call, somebody saw you in Natchez and you didn't speak to them, and they mad. I'm saying, where in Natchez? Well, they say you were getting gas in your truck. Okay, so, you know, it's about 10 pumps there, right? I'm supposed to go check every pump and see if I know somebody That's me. So you know how you put the test on folk. You know what our folk do. Well, I love y'all still, but it's tough because trying to get us to where we need to be. I now have 30 counties that I represent. I go from Wilkinson County all the way to Tunica County. It's 300 miles long and about 200 miles wide. And I run up on somebody and they say, "You done forgot me, ain't you?" and I'm trying to figure this out now. 770,000 folk, and I said, "Well, give me a hint." He said, "Well, about 4 years ago, we were at the same McDonald's restaurant." and I'm still trying to figure out, okay, I get my coffee at McDonald's every morning. Said, "Well, but we were in Greenville." I said, "Well, that's getting close. There are 4 McDonald's in Greenville." But you know how you do. And then I said, they finally said, "I knew you wasn't going to remember me anyway." I said, "But we love you, Congressman." I said, "Okay, thank you." But they put that pressure on me. Doc, how you run into them, and they'll even tell you, say, "Well, I belong to Pearl Street." I just hadn't been there a long time. But all that we have to work through because it's a great thing. But in spite of it all, I don't know anywhere else I'd want to be other than where I am with you this morning and where you are with me, because it's a wonderful thing. I got a lot of my friends who left who coming back now, and I'm helping them locate wherever they want to be. I was at a birthday party out on Highway 22 yesterday, young lady from Chicago, but she left 50 years ago, but she left with the intentions of coming back. And so it's those kind of things that are so important to how we fix this community. She's looking for a church, just a lot of those kind of things. And that's where the men of Pearl Street can also add significant effort in how we recruit people. Apart from that, you all saw last week the culmination of what happens when God doesn't like ugly. Now, it's poetic justice for somebody having been President of the United States, probably in our lifetime and in others, the most racist individual that we've ever had. But God doesn't like ugly, and nobody is above the law. But now, it does my heart good to see that the prosecutor looks like the membership of Pearl Street. And they're going to do everything they can to try to get her kicked off. But then in Washington, guess what? The judge appointed by President Obama looks just like the membership of Pearl Street. Now what they say in Bolton, you can run, but you can't hide. And so I'm looking forward to it. Stay tuned. Get your popcorn, get your Coca-Cola, get whatever. When I call home sometime and London's watching Rachel, she said, "Can't you call when Rachel's not on?" I said, "But baby, I'm your husband." She said, "Yeah, but Rachel's on." And so MSNBC, I love it because they call it like it is. Every now and then, when I see what the other side's doing, I turn to Fox. In about 15 seconds, I got to get off it because it's insulting my intelligence that somebody would be putting out. But understand, that fella got over 70 million votes from those folks. So if we don't keep telling the truth, we're in real trouble. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you this morning. I appreciate the opportunity to come back. I appreciate seeing Mr. and Mrs. Harper Husband taught me at Utica. Miss Harper's brother-in-law was in church this morning at Asbury with me, and I see him and Brother Montgomery and other folk who are here. So we get around, and it's so nice to see friendly faces. Apart from that, I want you to keep following your leader at this church, because I'm telling you now, working with folk like us is not easy. You know, he either didn't have the right tie on or the right suit, or he saw me and didn't speak. You understand that? Yeah, so you got to follow your shepherd. Now, I could tell you in those 55 years that London and I hadn't had a crossword. But you know, you said, you know, he was all right till he told that lie about not having a crossword. But now, I didn't leave. You understand? I went to the other bedroom. I got in that favorite chair, but I didn't leave. So now, with your shepherd here, don't you leave, Doc. You stay right here. You help save Pearl Street. Your vision is real. I'm telling you. And when folks start getting jealous of what you're doing, you know you're doing the right thing, because you done heard it already. Oh, yeah. Y'all think y'all something going up there on the hill. You know, and especially when they see movement, you know, they see bulldozers moving. That's that vision becoming real. But now they're going, you know, they'll talk a little bit about you, but don't worry about it. You know, they're going to be there when we cut the ribbon. You know, I said, boy, we did it, didn't we? I said, yeah, we sure did. Thank you very much. Thank you. I had so much fun coming talking to you. Please continue to follow your leader, continue to vote, continue to tell the truth, continue to call it just like it is, because if we don't, as a people, we will perish. Thank you very much.
Let's remain standing for just a moment. I extend the invitation. What a powerful message, packed with truth. We should serve, and we should be at a spot of service where we will not move. The choir will sing a verse to invitation song. Is your lamp ready for service? And if we're not ready for service, we need to get ready, be ready. The invitation is yours. What will you do with it? It's a personal thing. Whatever you do, it's personal. No one can accept the invitation for you. The only person that can do that is you. Is your lamp ready for service? Is your lamp ready for service? Do you have all that you need to shine? The bridegroom is coming to greet you. You won't have time to buy oil. They're going to give us instruction how to prepare. Keep your lamp filled and burning, and be ready to shine. Will that be one? No time. Don't get left behind. Is your lamp? It's a personal question. Ready for service? be seated. Father, thank you right now for the word that has been placed before us, in us, through our Congressman. Thank you for the wisdom that he imparted. And we ever pray that you will continue to give him strength as he go covering over 30 counties and in the DC area, making a difference in the lives of others, giving health, strength, protection. In Jesus' name, blessings upon your people here, every one of them. God make you the head, not the tail. Make you the top, not the bottom. Press on.